I ended my engagement to my fiancé after she said she wanted a break to reconnect with her ex. I sold our house and disappeared. Hello, everyone. After what feels like forever, 27 years, finally decided it's time to open up about what's been going on with me lately. Here's the thing. Until recently, I truly believed I was going to marry the love of my life, Tessa, 26 years. We had been together for 4 years, and for the most part, I thought we were rock solid. But now, I'm left wondering how I didn't see it all falling apart sooner. Tessa and I first met at a birthday party, introduced by a mutual friend. She was witty, self-assured, and had this no-nonsense attitude that I genuinely admired. I had dated before, but no one ever connected with me the way she did. We clicked instantly and moved in together after a year. Everything felt easy, like we were aligned on the same life goals, careers, marriage, and eventually a family. She worked as a freelance graphic designer, and I was a project manager at a tech company, so our schedules matched well. Life wasn't extravagant, but it was good. We had been talking about marriage for a while, but it wasn't until last year that I finally proposed. It wasn't elaborate, just a quiet dinner at home, just the two of us. Tessa seemed overjoyed. She cried, hugged me, and said yes. That night, we started painting a picture of our future together. An autumn wedding, a small guest list, and a beautiful little lakeside venue. It felt like everything was falling into place, or so I believed. At first, the red flags were small and easy to miss, little signs I chose to overlook because I didn't want to overanalyze. For instance, Tessa's initial excitement about the wedding started to fade after a few months. At first, she was all in. Sending me Pinterest boards, searching for wedding dress ideas, and asking about tiny details like whether I preferred tulips or roses for the centerpieces. Then, all of a sudden, it stopped. I'd ask her things like, "Have you picked your bridesmaids yet?" And she'd brush it off with, "Not yet, I'm still thinking about it." The same thing happened with the dress, the cake, the music. Everything we were once so excited about suddenly became something she wanted to delay. "There's still time," she'd say. The wedding began to feel like an afterthought. I told myself she was just overwhelmed. Planning a wedding can be a lot, right? Plus, she was busy with work. I figured she'd come around eventually. What I didn't realize then was that her disinterest wasn't about the wedding itself. It was about us. The real wake-up call came one evening when we were out with some friends. Someone brought up that silly TikTok game. You've probably seen it. The one where you're asked personal questions and try not to react or judge. Everything was going fine until someone asked, if you could relive one relationship, which one would it be? Without skipping a beat, Tessa said, "Oh, probably Dylan." Just like that. Dylan, her college ex. The same guy who cheated on her. The moment she said it, the room fell silent. She gave a nervous laugh and tried to backpedal, saying, not that I'd actually want to, it's just that it was a meaningful part of my past. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but since we were with friends, I let it go. Later that night, I brought it up. What was it about Dylan? Why would you want to revisit that relationship? She just shrugged and acted like it was nothing. It was a dumb game, Liam. Don't take it so seriously, she said, brushing it off with a smile and changing the subject. I didn't push it, mostly because I didn't want to start a fight over what might have been harmless. But deep down, it lingered. After that, her behavior got harder to ignore. She started spending more time on her phone, often texting with this sly little grin on her face. She'd give vague excuses about why she couldn't hang out or why she had to cancel our plans last minute. "Sorry, I've just got a lot of work to catch up on tonight," she'd say. Or, "I promised my mom I'd visit this weekend." None of it seemed particularly suspicious on its own, but it started piling up. I was clearly no longer a priority. Then came Friday night, the night that changed everything. I got home from work early, excited to spend a relaxed evening with Tessa. I thought maybe we'd order takeout and binge watch a show, just a cozy night in. But when I walked in, the vibe was immediately off. She was sitting on the couch with her laptop, but she wasn't working, just staring blankly at the screen. "Hey, I'm home," I said, hoping to ease the tension. "You're early," she replied, as if that were a problem. I brushed it off and went to the kitchen to start dinner, but the silence in the house felt heavy. Normally, she'd ask about my day or share something from hers. But that night? Nothing. Finally, I turned to her and asked, "Is everything okay?" She shut her laptop and looked up at me. Actually, there's something I need to talk to you about. And my heart sank. You know that sinking feeling you get when you know something terrible is about to happen, and there's nothing you can do to stop it? That was me, standing there like a fool, spatula in hand. I approached and sat across from her. Right, I said. What is going on? She paused, as if trying to find the right words, and then just came out with it. I've been thinking about us, and about Dylan. I swear I almost laughed. Dylan? Are you serious? What about him? She bit her lip and looked away. I think I need some time to sort things out. I'd like to take a break and see if there's still something there with him. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You want to take a break to date your ex? Are you out of your mind, Tessa? We're engaged. It's not like that, she said quickly, trying to smooth things over. I just need to be sure I'm making the right choice with you. If it doesn't work out, I promise I'll come back. That's when I realized just how bold she truly was. She assumed I would just wait around while she figured out whether or not I was good enough. Something shifted in me at that exact moment. I didn't shout or lose my temper. I just sat there, staring at her, wondering how I hadn't seen this coming. I wasn't even sure how to respond at first. My fiancé had just informed me she wanted to take a break, to explore things with her ex, Dylan. What does one even say to that? Eventually, I asked, "So, what exactly does this break mean to you?" My voice sounded much calmer than I actually felt. She straightened slightly, like she had been preparing herself for this moment. I think we need some space to figure things out. I'll take time to see if my feelings for Dylan are still real, and you can use the time to think about us too. I couldn't believe the audacity. Wait, I said, leaning forward. You want to date your ex, and I'm supposed to reflect on us? What kind of twisted logic is that? Tessa sighed like I was the one being unreasonable. This isn't about you doing anything wrong, Liam. This is about me figuring out what I want. The way she spoke, the way she wouldn't meet my eyes, it all felt rehearsed. She had already made up her mind. She just wanted me to go along with it. You know this sounds crazy, right? I muttered. You don't just put your fiancé on hold while you play. What if with some guy who treated you like trash? Her face tightened, and for the first time, I saw how stubborn she could be. I'm not asking for your permission, Liam. I'm telling you what I need. That hit differently. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was angry. I stood up and began pacing, trying to get a grip on myself. So what, Tessa? You're just going to pack a bag and run off to Dylan's place? That's your plan? No, she insisted. It's not like that. I don't even know what it'll look like yet. I just need clarity before we move forward. I owe it to myself to be sure. You owe it to yourself? I asked, laughing bitterly. What about what you owe me? We're engaged, Tessa. We're supposed to be planning our future. Now you're telling me you need to go test drive your ex to make sure I'm good enough. I never said you weren't good enough, she replied, her voice rising. But if we're going to spend the rest of our lives together, I have to be sure, and right now, I'm not. That was it. It wasn't just about Dylan. She was also unsure about me. After 4 years together and everything we had planned, she was still uncertain. It hit me all at once. She didn't even realize how hurtful and ridiculous this all sounded. She thought this was logical, that I'd just sit and wait while she sorted through whatever madness was in her head. I stopped pacing and looked at her, really looked. You know what? Fine, I said, my tone flat. Take your break. She blinked, clearly surprised at how quickly I agreed. Liam, I'm not trying to hurt you. I need space to think. I nodded, keeping my expression blank. All right, if that's what you need. She paused, probably expecting me to argue or beg her to stay. When I didn't, she stood up, pulled out her laptop, and mumbled. I'll stay at my mom's for a while. This isn't forever. We'll talk when I've had time, okay? Okay, I replied simply. She looked at me, trying to figure out what to say next, then turned and went to the bedroom. I could hear her moving around, tossing things into a bag. I stayed calm on the couch, but my mind was racing. If she really wanted a break, that was fine. Let her have it. Several minutes later, I heard the front door close. She was gone. Maybe she thought she'd left me here to wait and wallow. She had no idea I wasn't just going to sit here doing nothing. She could chase her fantasy. But I had plans of my own now. I'll provide an update once I've set everything into motion. This isn't going to end the way she thinks it will. Update. Thank you all for your feedback and advice on my last post. A lot has happened this week, and I wanted to share how things are unfolding. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone in this community for their amazing support. Many of you said I shouldn't just sit around waiting, and you were absolutely right. I've been busy putting things into action. First, I called my buddy Noah. He's been my closest friend since college, and he's never been one to sugarcoat anything. After hearing the full story, he showed up with pizza, and we spent the entire night plotting. Dude, you know she's going to come crawling back once it falls apart with Dylan, right? Noah reminded me. He was right, of course. The more we talked, the clearer it became that I needed to be proactive. This wasn't about revenge. It was about taking back control of my life. I started with the house. Tessa seems to forget that it's entirely in my name. She loves pretending it's our home, constantly talking about the curtains and paint colors she picked out. But I'm the one who pays the mortgage. First thing Monday morning, I called a realtor. They came to assess the property, and we agreed to list it immediately. The housing market in our area is currently booming, and we already have several serious buyers. Tessa has no clue. She probably assumes I'm still sitting in our shared home, waiting for her to figure out her feelings. The next step was to start removing her from my life, little by little. Remember those live, laugh, love signs she insisted on putting up? Gone. The gorgeous throw pillows she just had to have? Donated. All the clothes and personal items she left behind? I carefully boxed them up. But here's where I got tactical. Instead of just dropping them off at her mother's house or asking her to come get them, I hired movers. They delivered everything straight to her mom's place, along with a short note. Here's your stuff. Good luck with Dylan. Some of you might think that's petty, but I disagree. I'm not being spiteful. I'm being efficient. She wanted space to think things through? Well, now she has it. The most fascinating part came when our mutual friends started asking questions. Rather than playing the victim or bad-mouthing her, I simply told the truth. Tessa said she needed to explore things with her ex before committing to marriage. I decided I deserve better than being someone's backup plan. You should see how people respond to that. No drama, no accusations, just facts. It's amazing how quickly the narrative changes when you don't try to manipulate it. I've also been making professional moves. I applied for a position at our West Coast office, something I'd been considering for a while. If the house sells, which looks very likely, and I get the job, I'll be starting fresh on the other side of the country. Tessa has reached out several times this week. It started with casual messages like "hope you're doing okay" and escalated to more concerned texts once she realized I was making real changes and not just sitting around. Yesterday, she was in full panic mode after her mom told her the boxes had arrived. "What are you doing? Why are you acting like this is over?" she asked. I kept it simple. "Because it is over, Tessa. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." She started crying, saying she just needed time to figure things out, that I was moving too fast, and this wasn't what she meant when she asked for a break. "What did you expect?" I asked. "That I'd sit here like a loyal dog while you test drive your ex? That's not how this works." "But what if I realize you're the one I want?" she sobbed. "Then you'll have learned a valuable lesson about not taking people for granted," I said and hung up. The strange thing is, I'm not even upset anymore. I feel free. Every box I pack, every decision I make feels like I'm reclaiming parts of myself I didn't realize I had lost. Noah came by again yesterday to help with packing, and even he noticed the change. "You seem different," he said. "More focused." He's right. I am different. When Tessa first told me she wanted to revisit things with Dylan, I felt like my entire world was falling apart. Now I realize it wasn't my world collapsing, it was the illusion I'd been living in finally crumbling. There are more things in the works, but I'll save those for the next update. For now, I'll just say this. Sometimes the best way to respond to someone who treats you like an option is to completely remove yourself from their list of choices. Stay tuned. This story isn't over yet, and I have a feeling Tessa is beginning to realize that her little break to figure things out isn't going to go quite the way she expected. Update. Thank you all for your responses to my recent update. Things have intensified quite a bit, and I wanted to share how everything has progressed. Remember how I mentioned applying for the West Coast position? Well, I got it. The timing couldn't have been better. The house is now under contract, with closing set for next month. But that's just the beginning. What's especially interesting is how Tessa's exploration with Dylan is playing out. Through mutual contacts, I found out that their renewed romance is far from the fairy tale she imagined. Apparently, for years haven't changed him much. He's still the same unreliable guy who cheated on her back in college. But here's where it gets juicy. Tessa's been trying to spin the narrative on social media. She's been posting vague, inspirational quotes about finding yourself and following your heart. So I decided to join the game, but with a twist. I made one simple, factual post about my life. Excited to announce I've accepted a position in San Francisco. Sometimes when one door closes, better ones open. He's been my closest friend since college, and he's never been one to sugarcoat anything. After hearing the full story, he showed up with pizza, and we spent the entire night plotting. Dude, you know she's going to come crawling back once it falls apart with Dylan, right? Noah reminded me. He was right, of course. The more we talked, the clearer it became that I needed to be proactive. This wasn't about revenge. It was about taking back control of my life. I started with a house. Tessa seems to forget that it's entirely in my name. She loves pretending it's our home, constantly talking about the curtains and paint colors she picked out. But I'm the one who pays the mortgage. First thing Monday morning, I called a realtor. They came to assess the property, and we agreed to list it immediately. The housing market in our area is currently booming, and we already have several serious buyers. Tessa has no clue. She probably assumes I'm still sitting in our shared home, waiting for her to figure out her feelings. The next step was to start removing her from my life, little by little. Remember those live, laugh, love signs she insisted on putting up? Gone. The gorgeous throw pillows she just had to have? Donated. All the clothes and personal items she left behind? I carefully boxed them up. But here's where I got tactical. Instead of just dropping them off at her mother's house or asking her to come get them, I hired movers. They delivered everything straight to her mom's place, along with a short note. Here's your stuff. Good luck with Dylan. Some of you might think that's petty, but I disagree. I'm not being spiteful. I'm being efficient. She wanted space to think things through? Well, now she has it. The most fascinating part came when our mutual friends started asking questions. Rather than playing the victim or bad-mouthing her, I simply told the truth. Tessa said she needed to explore things with her ex before committing to marriage. I decided I deserved better than being someone's backup plan. You should see how people respond to that. No drama, no accusations, just facts. It's amazing how quickly the narrative changes when you don't try to manipulate it. I've also been making professional moves. I applied for a position at our West Coast office, something I'd been considering for a while. If the house sells, which looks very likely, and I get the job, I'll be starting fresh on the other side of the country. Tessa has reached out several times this week. It started with casual messages like "hope you're doing okay" and escalated to more concerned texts once she realized I was making real changes and not just sitting around. Yesterday, she was in full panic mode after her mom told her the boxes had arrived. "What are you doing? Why are you acting like this is over?" she asked. I kept it simple, because it is over, Tessa. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. She started crying, saying she just needed time to figure things out, that I was moving too fast, and this wasn't what she meant when she asked for a break. What did you expect? I asked. That I'd sit here like a loyal dog while you test drive your ex? That's not how this works. But what if I realize you're the one I want? She sobbed. Then you'll have learned a valuable lesson about not taking people for granted, I said and hung up. The strange thing is, I'm not even upset anymore. I feel free. Every box I pack, every decision I make feels like I'm reclaiming parts of myself I didn't realize I had lost. Noah came by again yesterday to help the two of them at the same restaurant where Tessa and I had our first date. It was clear she was trying to recreate our memories with him. The post didn't stay up long, but the damage was done. Our friends saw it, and the few remaining people who had still supported Tessa's finding herself narrative lost respect. Even her sister contacted me. I'm so sorry about the way she's handling all of this. You deserved better. What was most satisfying was that I didn't need to seek revenge. I just lived my life honestly and moved forward. While Tessa tried to play both sides, the truth emerged naturally. She visited my office yesterday. Apparently, Dylan had already revealed his true nature, flirting with other women, being unreliable. The usual pattern. She was crying. I made a huge mistake, she said. I was scared of commitment. I thought maybe there was something better out there. But I was wrong. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I looked at her calmly and replied, No, Tessa. The best thing that ever happened to me was you showing your true colors before we got married. She tried to argue, said we could fix things, that she'd go to therapy, prove she could be trusted again. I just shook my head. You don't get it, do you? This isn't about Dylan anymore. This is about you thinking you could keep me on standby while you explored your options. That's not love. That's convenience. She left my office in tears, but I felt better than I had in a long time. The house closes next week. Most of my things are already packed, and my new life in San Francisco begins in a month. Funny enough, some people say I'm being too harsh. Everyone makes mistakes, they say. But this wasn't a mistake, it was a series of choices. Every time she messaged Dylan, every lie about where she was, every moment spent planning to put our relationship on pause, these were all decisions. I'll post another update once the move is finalized. For now, I'll leave you with this. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting better. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Update. Thank you for continuing to follow my journey. This will be my final update, and I have some noteworthy developments to share. San Francisco is everything I hoped for and more. My new apartment overlooks the bay, and the local tech community is outstanding. My new team at work is full of people who value progress and innovation over drama. It's a refreshing change. But first, here's how things wrapped up back home. The house closing went smoothly, and it actually sold for more than the asking price. It was interesting to hear how Tessa reacted when mutual friends told her. It wasn't until she drove by and saw the new owners moving in that she believed I'd actually sold it. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Remember Dylan? He reached out to me, of all people. Sent a long message saying he never intended to cause problems and that Tessa had actually contacted him first, months before she asked for a break. So Tessa had been laying the groundwork for her little exploration long before anything ended. Messaging Dylan for months. Planning a backup strategy. And here's the irony. Dylan ended things with her. His words were, if she could do this to you, she could do it to anyone. The professional fallout for Tessa has been steep. Most of her clients found new designers, not because I said anything, but because word travels fast. One of her biggest clients even reached out to me. We heard about the engagement. We're looking for someone dependable for long-term work. Do you know anyone? I recommended a talented acquaintance who ended up landing the contract. Karma, I suppose. Tessa's social media spiral has been something to behold. First came the sad quotes about lost love, then angry posts about toxic people who can't handle growth, and finally, desperate attempts to show how happy she is now. The most amusing part? She announced she was starting her own design firm. 3 days later, she began sending out job applications. Last week, her sister contacted me again. Apparently, Tessa's been staying at their parents' house, saying she needs time to heal from our breakup. Her sister's exact words were, she really thought you'd wait for her. Selling the house and moving away shattered her fantasy completely. The most validating moment happened during a video call with our old group of friends. They were catching me up on hometown gossip, and someone mentioned seeing Tessa at a coffee shop, trying to explain to a potential client why her portfolio website was down. Apparently, she forgot that I was the one who set it up and maintained it. She couldn't figure out how to renew her hosting subscription when it expired. Not my problem anymore. Life here is shaping up beautifully. I joined a local rock climbing club, started taking Spanish lessons, and even adopted a dog from a nearby shelter. His name is Zeus, and he's already a better companion than my ex-fiancé ever was. The tech community has been welcoming. Last week, I was invited to speak at a developers conference, an opportunity one never would have gotten if I'd stayed behind. It's amazing what you can achieve when you're not weighed down. I had one final interaction with Tessa. She emailed asking for access to some old photos from our shared cloud storage. I had already downloaded everything I needed and shut the account down weeks ago. Her email said, I know you're trying to erase me from your life, but you can't just delete our memories. Those 4 years meant something. My reply was straightforward. You're right, those years taught me exactly what I don't want in a partner. Thanks for the lesson. Some of our mutual acquaintances believe I'm being too harsh and suggest I should show more compassion toward what they call her moment of confusion. But here's the thing, it wasn't a fleeting moment. It was a deliberate and calculated choice. She kept me around as a safety net while actively chasing what she thought was a better option. So, what's the biggest lesson I've taken from all of this? Sometimes, the worst things that happen to you pave the way for the best things in your life. If Tessa hadn't revealed who she really was, I might have ended up marrying her, only to discover her true character years down the line, possibly with children involved. Instead, I'm now living in a beautiful city, working a great job, making new friends, and genuinely looking forward to what's ahead. The pain of betrayal has been replaced with a deep gratitude for the bullet I dodged. Thank you to everyone who followed this story and offered your thoughts and advice. Your encouragement helped me stay grounded and strong during moments I might have crumbled. And to anyone going through something similar, please remember this. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Don't wait around hoping they'll change their mind about you. Life is far too short to be anyone's backup plan. Sometimes, the greatest thing you can do is walk away and give yourself the chance to build something better. That's all for now, folks. This chapter of my life is officially closed, and I couldn't be more excited for the next one to begin.